Hello, everybody, and welcome to University of Wisconsin-Madison. Today, we will be talking about the MS in Learning Analytics program, and my name is Julia Rutledge. So, we have a lot of ground to cover. I will do my best to wrap it up tightly within about 30 minutes. Happy to stay on the call, though, if anyone has any lingering questions or want to check in. Absolutely happy to do that. And again, I'll do my best to monitor the chat, although I will admit I'm not the best multitasker. So feel free to just interrupt me. This is informal, and my goal is that after today, you'll have many of your questions answered and you'll feel confident to understand who the MS in Learning Analytics is and who we are not. So with no further ado, this is what we'll be going through. And yes, it's a long list, but I assure you that we can get there. This is not my first rodeo, and you are in good hands. My name, again, is Julia. I am the program director. I was the founding director of this program. This is a photo of me with my baby minutes after successfully defending my dissertation in 2017. I since stayed with UW-Madison in the Department of Educational Psychology. And within this program, I wear a lot of hats. I develop curriculum. I teach the very first course in the program. I do advise all graduate students, and I offer application assistance as well. More on that later. But more than all of those bullets, I want you to think of me as your advocate while you're an applicant, while you're a student in the program, and as an alumni and beyond. So this is a career outlook webinar specifically for the MS in Learning Analytics. And so while I know that many of you are, yes, okay, I'm going to go back to graduate school. That's phenomenal. Happy for you. Exciting, a little bit scary. Something to consider, though, is this really the right career field for me? And what is interesting, I find, is that so often I'll meet with applicants that will say to me, it's fascinating. I'm really passionate about education. I love working with data. I didn't even know that this field existed when I went to undergrad. And you're not alone if you're feeling that way as well. This field is relatively nascent. It is growing for sure, and more on that in a bit. But to give you a little bit of an outline of what really is learning analytics, some friends and I developed some infographics that I think will help explain what it is and what it is not. So learning analysts harness data to power educational outcomes. They are passionate about education, and they are passionate about using data in ethical and equitable ways to thus impact learners, learning outcomes, learning environments, educators, and so on. And so to be impactful, they need to be experts not only in learning and analysis, but also in human-centered design. They utilize a variety of tools like statistics, machine learning, qualitative analysis as well, so not just the numbers. And they analyze a really wide variety of data from text and audio video to log files, big data, so on and so forth. They then communicate these analyses via actionable insights to a variety of stakeholders. Stakeholders can range from students, teachers, administrators, parents, state and federal legislators, so on and so forth. And so being able to take these analyses that they've created and make them actionable to a wide variety of audiences is imperative to be able to make a strong impact. And these learning analysts can serve in a wide variety of places and in a wide variety of roles. So as you can see in my bullets down below, you'll see titles like instructional designers, e-learning developers, K through 12 district analysts, and working at organizations like school districts, colleges and universities, state and federal departments of education, ed tech firms, and also corporate learning teams. So hopefully that helps clarify a little bit more about the field. And now let's dive a little bit more generally into, or actually, frankly, more specifically, into the MS in Learning Analytics program. So here's a beautiful photo of our campus. We are 100% online, but I think it's always fun to pepper in some photos of our campus because even though all of our students are online, they are 100% Badgers, and it's really exciting for them to come to campus, usually for the first time at their graduation ceremony, which is always in May. And so seeing these photos is something that is a nice little anticipatory thing that they get to see along the way. I've also actually included a few quotes from students over the past few years that I think is really helpful to hear not only my voice about the program, but their perspectives as well. Mary Zhang said every instructor has been flexible and accommodating, and we really pride ourselves in having a very communicative teaching team. If you look at the program at a glance, you'll see that we were established in 2021. We are now looking to accept our 6th cohort. We have a broadening network of students and alumni that are closely knit within their cohorts and then to the cohorts above them. The program itself is 100% online. It is 24 contiguous months beginning in June. It is $1,000 per credit. There are no other associated fees with this degree. Because it is online, you don't have to pay the extra campus fees, although you do get almost all of the virtual campus benefits like health, counseling, writing center, so on and so forth. The program is 30 credits and you move through together as a cohort. So we are currently accepting applications for the 2026 cohort that begins in June. And so those June 2026 first years will end up graduating in May of 2028. Also at the top, you will notice, not so subtle, we're pretty proud of this ranking. We've been ranked #1 in the Department of Educational Psychology among other departments of Ed Psych across the nation. We're also housed in the #1 ranked school of education in the nation. Both are laurels we don't rest on. We are working and earning that rating every day, but it is from our peers, and we're very appreciative of that. And it is fun a little bit to brag sometimes. Can't help it. So I thought in terms of our topic this evening about career outlook, that it'd be really helpful to see what our learning analytics students are doing, what they came into the program doing, and what they have now since done upon graduating from the program. So I'll share some student stories throughout. So first, let's look at Anjali. Anjali came in working in ed tech. She was in customer service at a company called Common Lit, got really into data analysis, absolutely loved it. While she was with us, she applied for a, what was it? It's with the strategic data project. And I'm sorry. Hello, I forgot the word. She got a fellowship with the SDP at Harvard, was able to successfully do that while finishing up our program, was able to use the fellowship at her work at Common Lit, and then was able to leverage it about a year and a half ago, just started working at Khan Academy as a data scientist. So you can see Anjali stayed within her track of ed tech, but definitely jumped from going from customer service to a data scientist, and from a much smaller company to a much more world-renowned company as well. Other students who really made an impact while they were in our program is Amanda Vensky. Amanda started working at UW-Madison when she came into our program as a Veterans Affairs Specialist. This one was really interesting. She came to me near the end of her first year and said, I went to UW as an undergrad. I'm here working now in my full-time employment. I'm with UW as a master's student. I really think I need to broaden my perspective. Is there any way I can study abroad? And I said, I have no idea. No one has ever asked to do this before, because most working professionals are not able to take that time off. She was, however, able to do that. And together we worked to obtain a residency with University of Copenhagen that summer. She was able to still complete her coursework with us and successfully graduate on time. She now is still at UW-Madison, but she has fulfilled her dream of becoming an academic advisor. So getting more deeply into the academic side of administration in higher education. One more success story I wanted to share with you about students while they're in the program is Jay Winston. She is coming from a corporate perspective and was a corporate trainer at Exact Sciences coming into the program, got really into the research side of things, and especially got involved in the professional associations within the learning analytics field. Was able to attain travel scholarships to attend 2 different conferences with the Society for Learning Analytics Research, which is the most eminent world global professional association for learning analytics. And since graduating is now working actually at the City of Madison in coaching and human development. So able to leverage our program to get towards her goal of using data analysis to help in coaching and L&D. Oh, the flamingos. This is the best. This is a fall event that they do at UW-Madison. You're probably wondering, why am I showing you flamingos? But it is pretty hilarious when you're on campus, which I used to be, but I'm not anymore. This is a quote I wanted to share with you that I think is really important from Matthew. And a lot of folks coming into our program might have a similar perspective. And he wrote, previously, I viewed stats and quant research as this cold, steely, sterile enterprise of dehumanizing people into numbers without knowing and understanding the why of behaviors. This program has caused me to do a 180 on that perspective. And that, to me, says that we did our job well, because our program is all about that balance and understanding the humans behind the learning analytics. So let's talk a little bit more deeply about the program. Oh, and I think, did I just get a question? I am terrible. Oh no, Roger, thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that. I'll keep the chat up on the side here too. So program logistics, because again, you have to figure out how to fit this into your life, right? So hopefully this will help. It is 100% online. It is also 24 contiguous months. So again, June to May, 2 years. Life happens, I get it. And if someone does have to take a step back, that is perfectly fine. We will work with you. But our courses are really deeply scaffolded one upon the other. So it is pretty difficult to take a break. Our students tend to not, because it is quite manageable to succeed in the program, succeed in work, succeed in your personal life as well. The program not only is accessible, but it's also very flexible. It is asynchronous, but it's also multimodal. And so when I say asynchronous, that means that we provide all of our content at the beginning of each week of every semester, where you can watch the videos on your own time, read the journal articles when you're able to. You don't have to sit in front of your computer at a prescribed time and listen to somebody talk to you, kind of like what I'm doing right now. Instead, you're able to process things on your own time. We do have due dates each week, but we're keeping our assignments, while they are rhythmic, so you know what to expect. The assignments themselves keep you on your toes, and we're pretty good at making things engaging and personal and personable as well. Also, the work is highly collaborative, which you might be saying, well, how is it collaborative if it's asynchronous? And I assure you, when designed well, it can be done. So learning is inherently social. We know this. You should not be learning in a silo. And as such, all of our courses are designed to have you marinate and reflect on the materials asynchronously on your own at the beginning of each week. But then at the end of each week, after you've thought through things and kind of scrambled with some ideas in your mind, you're able to meet with a small group to talk through what you've learned, learn about everybody else's perspectives and how they're applying the materials as well into their own professional and personal contexts. And it's these rich conversations and dialogue that really entrench you in the knowledge and the skills, and also gives you a support network along the way. Students do have the choice every semester to either meet as a team in person not in person, live on Zoom, or asynchronously via Google Docs. If you're able to meet synchronously, I highly recommend it. Dialogues are very rich and engaging, but students have successfully made it through this whole program, never meeting on a Zoom, and that is viable as well. You do work in a cohort model. And so what I do at the beginning of every semester is I'll survey you to find out, hey, when logistically could you meet? Are you a Thursday evening kind of person, or a Saturday and Sunday morning? And then I'll be able to group you with people with similar schedules, and then you'll determine a time to meet. I track who's worked with who, and we have a small enough program purposefully so that you're able to work with just about everybody in your cohort by the time you get to the very last course in the program, where you self-select your own teams for a capstone project. I talk really fast. And I'm going to just remind you, if you have any questions, feel free to unmute and just chime in, or you can throw something in the chat. I actually have it up here, so I will see it, I promise. Otherwise, I'm going to keep zooming through. So, beautiful aerial view. Casey's actually a PhD student now at UW-Madison, and she talks about the extremely accessible courses in terms of layout, modality, and Canvas. We work with incredible instructional designers to really help create things that are not only aesthetically pleasing, but engaging, diverse, allow for a lot of offloading of your cognition. Like, you never have to worry about when something is due. All of our due dates are Thursdays. and Mondays. So we try to create in patterns and rhythms to help support you focus on what's actually important, which is the content and the assignments. She also talks about the support, and we'll talk about that a little bit more in depth in a bit. But every course is layered between the teaching team with TAs, extra materials, external resources, supplementary materials. We are scaffolding you through this process. We don't expect anyone to be a unicorn coming into this program. We expect to have to level folks up, whether it's in terms of pedagogy and teaching experience, or in terms of statistical know-how, or in terms of research process. Most of our students are strong in one of those areas, maybe two, and are needing a lift in the others. That's why you go to graduate school, to learn. And so our role, and we're pretty good at it, is building people up and leveling you all out. So let's talk about some of the hard and soft skills, because you will be asked about these in job interviews, and our job is to prepare you for those interviews. Within coursework, we provide breadth, and so we give students access and exposure to a variety of software programs and tools. Every semester, you're learning something new. It's building that fluency. It's building those languages. And so we dive really deeply into R and R Studio. You're using something called Encoder, another coding device for statistics is called RapidMiner. Not as widely used, but a lot more visual than R. Usually folks who like R don't like RapidMiner, and like folks who hated R love RapidMiner. So it's a nice little balance. We also dive pretty deeply into Tableau for data visualizations and data storytelling. You'll be performing research, and you'll not only be doing quantitative analyses with all those tools listed above, but you'll also be performing a lot of research with qualitative data. So you'll be performing interviews and observations and learning how to code data quantitatively and qualitatively with very rigorous ethical and equitable implications as well. Students are also learning how to create tools like writing white papers, how to give presentations that are actually engaging and exciting. And then they're also engaging in more of the soft skills like teamwork. And we're really big on reflection. We are constantly pinging our students to think about, whoa, take a step back. After just doing what you did, what does it say to you? Does this result really mean what you think it means? Will this help shorten that achievement gap, or is it going to push stereotypes even farther? Are you being equitable about your decisions and what variables you're choosing, so on and so forth? So we're constantly requiring our students to think about what they're doing, about why they're doing what they're doing, not just how. Now, something that I think is probably missing in this slide, which is the elephant in the room, is this lovely thing called AI. And AI, as we all know, it is constantly evolving. To be honest, when we first launched this program, we barely even touched on AI in the curriculum. Now it is entrenched in every single course, and for due reason. However, rather than just popping it in as a homework supplement, we've really thought hard about AI and how we can introduce it to students in a meaningful way where they can tackle it from a variety of perspectives. So throughout every course in the program, we take a different angle. So for example, in the course I teach in the very first summer, it's more of a homework thought partner. Now, that doesn't mean it makes everything easier. In fact, sometimes using AI might make it even harder, but we're asking students to use it from a student perspective and critically think about the affordances and constraints involved in using the AI as a thought partner. We're also asking students to think about it from the back end. And from an engineering perspective, they're asked to build an AI tool. They actually work on creating an LLM in their second methodology course. Students are using it also as a research tool. So using it for coding, not only with quantitative, but also with qualitative. And again, always reflecting on the effectiveness and ethical implications of AI, because there's a lot. There's a much more involved in that, but this is actually a slide that we added relatively recently because a lot of students that I've talked to, applicants I've talked to have asked, well, how is AI incorporated? And it's something that we do from a multifaceted perspective so that you understand how to use it and use it well, when it's appropriate to use it, when it's not, and the underlying hidden biases and risks also inherent in using this tool. Oh, now we're in the fall. That's actually the education building. It's drop dead gorgeous. Christina had a really interesting job transition too from first generation college counseling to now she's up in Seattle. Anyways, she was talked about how she really was able to leverage what she already knew and her experience in the program in her job search. And so she's able to now follow her passion and support the student populations that she genuinely cares about. And that's really important to note in that our program is constantly asking you to think about who do you want to serve? Who do you care about? What is exciting to you? How can you incorporate your passions in your professional life into your coursework? And so I constantly am saying, hey, if you're able to, let our curriculum enrich your work. Let your work enrich our curriculum. It's a win-win if you're able to work on things that you care about. So here's a nice big picture perspective of the 8 courses in our program. 7 of these are required. 1 is optional. The optional one is fundamental statistics. This is a course that we've created to help students who, if you were like me and hadn't taken a math class since high school going into graduate school, yes, that was a little scary. It'll help bring you up to speed over your first summer. But in the first year, we really focus on fundamentals. And so we're building a lot of theory-based inquiries with thinking and learning in the first course that I teach. We bring in some introductory methods courses as well. In year 2, we're diving more into application. So in year 1, we're giving you a variety of data sets to choose from typically so that you don't have to worry about finding your own data. In year 2, we're asking you to dig in. If you have access to data, by all means, use it. If you don't, that's okay. We have sample data sets that you can use instead. But year 2 is all about putting those skills into motion. And often our students are able to apply what they're learning into their jobs at the same time, which is really, really powerful. Something I wanted to highlight in our curriculum is our capstone project. And in our capstone, I had alluded to it earlier, students do self-select their own teams, but here it's really wrapping the curriculum with a pretty red bow. You're building on the skills that you've learned throughout all of the other courses, and students partner up in an organization of their choice. Typically, it's one of the group members' employers, not always though, but it is a real life, authentic working organization, and students perform a consulting project from beginning to end. And so this very authentic experience allows for students to do things like a need analysis and provide options for analyses, communicating their analyses via Tableau dashboards and PowerPoints and white pages and one-pagers, excuse me, using those skills that they've been building over the past year and a half in a very authentic problem-solving environment to ultimately give a tangible artifact to their client organization. For many of our students, actually, not just Britta, but this is a nice quote. I won't read the whole thing, but the majority of our students will say that this consulting project was something that was incredibly meaningful and impactful for them. It also is a great talking point in job interviews because when an employer asks, well, have you ever performed a needs analysis? Yes, I have. Have you ever had to clean and code data? Yes, I have. What kinds of programming have you used? And so we really allow students to flex their skills in an authentic way and provide opportunities for them to leverage that in their job search or job advancement if they're not looking for a new one, but wanting to, impact their career a bit more. This is a very authentic way to do so. Another way actually that we help students in the job market is building a portfolio. And this portfolio project is at the very end of the fall of the second year of the program. And here we provide templates for students. Hi, Casey, where students will create their own websites. And rather than, and this always cracks me up, frankly, on a resume, they'll ask, oh, your education, and you'll put one line down for a graduate degree. That doesn't say very much about the depth and breadth of the work that you're able to do from that one line on your resume. And so this tangible artifact is something that our students are using when applying for jobs and before interviews, sharing with the interviewers to showcase what is it that I really can do. And so here are just a couple examples from students. We have an About Me page where it really gets into who they are and what they're passionate about. I love Craig. He says, an educator who stubbornly believes that data can be used for good. But we have students show the types of studies that they've done. So these are all of Craig's homework assignments that he's talked about. If you click on each one, you'll see it in detail. He writes an abstract, so on and so forth. Really shows the breadth of what he's able to work with. And also skills. So here on Kate's page, she's talking about all the skills and programs that she's able to work with. And I had to actually cut hers off because it goes down even farther. And it's pretty impressive. But again, it's a really nice tool that students graduate with that they've built over time, and they can walk out the doors of Madison having this portfolio virtually in hand and able to jump on their job search if that is the path that they choose. And just to let you know, I actually was just running the numbers. I would say about 50% of our students coming into the program are looking to pivot into a new career. And about 50% are looking to stay within their field, but advance within their field. And so we're able to help support you in either one of those endeavors. And it's winter. Quick as that. Essence is one of our most recent graduates. And I love how she talks about, she had that passion, but she needed the data-informed, student-centered educator skills. And so she talks about having the tools and the language to back up this commitment that she's always had. She's a second grade teacher in Washington, D.C., and it was really cool to see the growth and development in the program. She's choosing to stay within the classroom, but taking on more of a leadership role within her school. So again, there's a lot of examples of students pivoting into a whole new field, or students making more impact in their current place of work as well. So job search. This is something that I think is a really important point to include. If you haven't yet, but you're thinking about it, and I was just actually chatting with someone earlier today about this exact same thing, but if you're looking for a job in learning analytics, you'll probably be a little bit surprised about what you find. Now, here's some screenshots from Glassdoor, and you'll see data analyst salaries and learning analyst salaries. But I wanted to point out, under data analyst salaries, look at where my arrow is pointing. There's 18.4 thousand salaries submitted on Glassdoor for that. However, for a learning analyst, only 77. Now, that doesn't mean that the ratio of data analyst jobs to learning analyst jobs is that disparate, but rather the term learning analyst is not universally used. And so it's really important to keep this in mind. So do not be deterred if you do a quick search on Indeed for a learning analyst role and you don't see a lot. You got to get creative. Unfortunately, not every institution, district, state calls it by the same thing, but as you'll see, there's a variety of titles and there's a lot of consistency in job responsibilities. Something that is really great about UW is our Career Center. The folks that work there are well versed in this challenge, and they have helped so many of my alumni with their job search, even identifying prospective jobs to apply to and looking beyond the typical bubble of what they think would be the correct search term. So for example, we have a few different ones here. We have K through 12 education. They're calling it a systems and data analyst. In higher ed, it's a learning analytics and assessment specialist. In ed tech, an educational data analyst or engineer. In corporate, senior analyst and learning analytics. That was actually what I had to really dig for. There's not a lot of ones like that in the corporate world yet. But again, I share this with you just so that you don't get overwhelmed or deterred, but rather know they are out there and it is a growing field for sure. You just have to know how to dig, and we'll help you do that. So let's revisit some more of our alumni. I think this, again, is a helpful thing to see the different career paths that folks have done. First, we have Diana. I was just chatting with her, actually. When Diana came into our program, she was working as a substitute teacher and was the school board member at Sun Prairie Area School District. Since graduating, she is now fulfilling her dream of getting her PhD. So she is still with UW-Madison. She's still a school board member. She was actually the president for a couple of years. overlapping while in our program. But in her second year of her PhD and in the Educational Leadership and Policy Analysis department within the School of Education, which is really exciting. So if PhD is the track you want to be on, talk to me. I will help support you get there. We've had a couple students do that and do it very successfully. Other alumni, Yi Chen actually came into our program with a PhD with an emphasis in qualitative methods and had decided that she really was more fascinated by quantitative, so needed to get an additional accreditation in that. She was an assistant professor at Bard College in New York and now is since working remotely as a data analyst at Northern Arizona University. And so that was a really cool pivot to see. Still working in higher ed, but going from teaching and teaching the qualitative side of curriculum to now working behind the scenes more and supporting students as a quantitative data analyst. And then we also have Danny. Danny came in working more in admin at UW-Madison as a records and enrollment specialist. Wasn't super passionate about it, but knew she wanted to stay in higher ed. I will never forget in the fall, she emailed me when she was in our instructional design course. And she said, Julia, I think I found what I'm supposed to do for the rest of my life. I am so passionate about this. I love this. She fell in love with instructional design. And I was so proud of her when she successfully became an instructional designer with the Wisconsin School of Business, which is pretty amazing jump for someone not having had that experience prior, but able to leverage what she learned in our program, build on her own professional experience, and get to that next point in her career. Work, school, life balance. This is a big one and something that we work really hard to ensure that does work for our students. Carissa talks about how she felt like it was really healthy and she thinks it's because of the structure of the program. A lot of this also comes down to communication. I am here with students from beginning to end, and I work very closely with our instructors as well to ensure that our students are keeping up, keeping track, keeping engaged. I'm here to help you, and our instructional team is absolutely phenomenal about feedback, reaching out, making sure that you feel like you're supported and confident in what you're doing as well. Okay, I have no idea how I'm doing on time, but I think I'm already a little bit over. I'm so sorry. I'll go through this last part as quickly as I can. Let's talk about application. It's pretty straightforward. So first, checklist. You need a statement of purpose. It's no more than 2 pages, and it's really straightforward. Why are you interested in this program? What qualifications do you have that you think will help you? And what do you hope to leverage what you learn? Something I always tell students too, like it's okay to admit that you don't know something. You don't have to be an expert in everything. That's why you're going to graduate school. So let us know, like, what skills gaps do you have? What are you really hoping to gain? Telling us your story. Who are you? What is your background? Why are you passionate about this? That is really, really helpful for our admissions committee, and I am a member of that. You'll need a resume or CV. We do not have a preference in terms of format, either one that you have. You will need to upload your unofficial transcripts. If you have less than a 3.0 GPA from your undergrad, talk to me. Exceptions can be made. Things have happened. We get it. Sometimes we didn't make the best life choices when we were 18. We're not going to hold that against you, but you got to talk to me about it so I can advocate for you through that application process. And then you'll have to upload contacts to 2 references. Our admissions committee, we care a lot less about the accolades of that person. So if it's a professor who's world renowned but barely knows you because you took their class like 10 years ago, don't ask that person. Rather, find someone that can attest to your work ethic and character. We are a cohort model program. Students work closely together. We want to bring in folks that are responsible, responsive, communicative, that are trustworthy. And so finding 2 people in your life, one at least preferably in a managerial perspective, that have worked with you that can attest to that would be the most helpful people that you can ask. Now, support. I am more than happy to help you through these endeavors. So I often chat with students when they're just thinking about applying, or if they've started an application but want to learn more. I love to get to know them. I try my best to meet with every single student before they hit submit on that application. And so far this year, I believe I have. My goal is to make sure that you don't waste your time. I want you to know who we are, who we're not, and ensure that it's a good fit for you and that we will meet your goals. I also offer something called Application Power Hour. We're happy to jump on a Zoom with you and work on your materials together and support you on that. Or if you prefer, I have students all the time sending me a Google Doc of their statement with a couple questions saying, I don't know if I should include this or not. I'll provide feedback. We can go back and forth, whatever really works best for you. And so happy to help you in that process. Sometimes it can feel really awkward to write about yourself if you haven't had to do this for a while. And even just having a thought partner to brainstorm with can be very helpful. So please use me. The application process is you can submit your application anytime up to May 1. We do have rolling admissions. We are looking to have a full cohort for 2026. There's been an uptick in interest after a little dip last year from what was going on in the federal environment. It seems that people who were holding on to their applications are now submitting them, which is great, but I would strongly recommend try to apply earlier than later. Don't stress. It doesn't have to be tomorrow. You're going to be okay. But I probably wouldn't wait until April 30th to do so. As soon as you do submit your application and your 2 reference letters, your recommenders upload their letters. As soon as that happens, the admissions committee and I will meet within 3 days. We will discuss, determine a decision, and then I will email you our decision. If it is a green light, then I take your application, I send it over to the UW Graduate School. The graduate school will ask you to upload your formal transcripts for any non-UW-Madison institution. They will perform a transcript audit to ensure that you are indeed who you say you are, and then they will formally admit you, usually within about a week or 2. And I keep very close tabs on that and nudge them as needed. Once you are admitted, they will email you that, and then you formally accept the offer, and then you celebrate. So I know there's actually a couple friendly names in the room right now, so I'm happy to have you here. For those that I haven't met yet, if all of this so far still sounds interesting to you, please let's connect. I do 15-minute calls with folks all the time. They often end up turning into hour-long conversations, which I love and it's wonderful, but truly take me up on it. I would love to meet with you to help you determine if this is a good fit for your goals and where you are and where you're going and what your life is looking like. And I think that might be it. Yeah, there's my thank you slide. And I am a little bit over and I apologize about that. But I will end there. Let's stop the recording if you don't mind. Valerie, I see your camera's on, so I'm happy to answer any questions.
I just have a question. I was wondering, is there financial aid at all available? Because $30,000 is kind of a lot.
It is a lot. I
I'm
agree.
a 3rd grade teacher, and I've been teaching for 13 years. I was in kindergarten for 5. This is my 8th year in 3rd grade. I love math. I love teaching math. I love the data, and I had never heard about this before. But when I saw it, I was like, oh, I don't have to teach until I'm 65. So I would I'm very passionate about helping kids to be successful. And I'm always so amazed at the data and things like that. And so I would love to, I'm very interested in it. And, but I'm like, wow, that's really $3,000 kind of a lot. So
it is. I totally understand that. I'm so glad you brought that up. And we don't have financial aid packages. We do have a scholarship available. However, our scholarship, the application is separate from the program application. It's not due till May 1st. So I always tell folks get your program application in and then worry about the scholarship. The scholarship is available to anyone who is passionate about serving some sort of underserved population. So for example, prior recipients have been passionate about college and career readiness, about first-generation college students, about girls in STEM and urban environments, music therapy, dyslexia. So it's pretty broad, but we're looking for people that are committed to serving an underserved population of their choice and wanting to leverage our program to make a greater impact for that population. That being said, there's also a lot of scholarships available online at UW. There's nationwide ones as well. Happy to point you in the direction with financial aid as well to set that up. Something to keep in mind is yes, $30K That is nothing to laugh about. But something that I also think about is in terms of what our other, I don't like calling them competition because I get excited. What other programs that are out there in learning analytics have much higher price tags, and yet we have the highest ranking. And so to me, that is sort of a no-brainer in terms of value. That doesn't cut the cost down though in any way, and I absolutely understand that. So
Right. Well, my
Valerie,
dad went to
let's talk.
Madison. He's an engineer and he went to Madison. And so I know like what an amazing school. My brother is an engineer. He went to Madison. So like, I just know what an amazing place,
Well,
Madison
let's you and
is.
I I'll follow up with you after today. Let's talk because I'd love to set up a call to like learn more, and then I can help guide you towards if you do indeed think, you know what, I think I do want to apply. The earlier you do, the earlier you can start working on the financial package. And that's something that is really helpful. As adults, we all want to be able to plan for our future. So the
I
sooner
also have
you can
kids
get,
in college right now.
oh my
As well.
gosh, yes. You have a lot going on. Yes.
Yes.
I will write a note and I'll shoot you an email after this and we'll find a time to talk. Does that sound good?
Thank you so much. I really
Yeah, for
enjoyed it.
sure. Any other questions? And I can't see everybody, so let's see. There are no other questions, then I think that we can wrap this up. I sincerely appreciate everyone's time. Thank you so much for taking, 45 minutes out of your evening on a Wednesday night at a very busy time of the year for us all. And again, I hope you follow up and let's chat. And Valerie, I'll shoot you an email right now. Thank you.